But we have to stop thinking about each club going one yardage, because it doesn't. So I just finished up a session with one of my students, and we had a good conversation that I think may help a lot of you out there. So at the end of every season, I typically do a yearly review, especially with my long-term program students. And we go over all of the positives, all of the negatives, all the things that we need to do going forward to reach the next level. And one of the questions I always pose to my students is, was there anything that we specifically focused on or talked about at all during the season that really resonated? Part of the reason why I do this is, if it resonated with this particular player, there's a potential that that particular conversation could resonate with another player or a whole bunch of players like you guys out there. And he did say yes. He said, do you remember the conversation we had, or more so the question you asked me at the beginning of the year, which was, how far do I hit my 7-iron? And I did ask him this. I said, how far do you hit your 7-iron? And it's a question I do ask a lot of my players, and 99.9% of the time, they give me one number as an answer. This particular player said he hits his 7-iron 160, and I quickly said no. And he looked at me like I was crazy, because it's his game, not my game. Now, I've worked with this guy for many years, so I do understand his game and his yardages overall. I said, but we have to stop thinking about each club going one yardage, because it doesn't. We are human. Golf is ridiculously hard. We are not hitting off of the same lie every single time. There's going to be a lot of north-south variability between every single shot. So yeah, you may guess that you hit the ball 160 with your 7-iron, but in reality, you hit some 165, 170. You hit a lot, 155, 150. There is a dispersion that you need to know. Every single person needs to know their north-south variance tolerance in order to hit more greens. If you want to be a better approach shot player, you need to know the answer to this question. How far do you hit your irons? And it's not a one number answer. To further explain a little bit more about what I mean, I'm gonna hit 10 balls, small sample size, and I'm gonna describe exactly what I described to him. So I just got done hitting those 13 shots. I completely understand. It is a small sample size in a very controlled environment. No wind, off the same lie every single time, which proves this point even further. Now, I'm a decent player. I strike the ball fairly well, and I still have a decent dispersion from shot to shot in a controlled environment. So you can see my lowest 154, 145.4, 145.55, my highest 161.6. These are carry numbers. So there is a dispersion of 15 yards between my short and my long. I am not hitting these golf shots the same distance every single time. And you can see it in the image over here. I have my longs, I have my shorts, and I have the ones in between. You also can understand my pattern here. Slightly closed face, a little long left, slightly open face, a little short, and to the right. Now, again, this is under completely controlled conditions. Go on the golf course where it's chaotic. You have different lies, you have different, the wind conditions, you have different looks, different trajectories, different heights of green elevations, things like that. That's gonna change this even more. So you have to understand, you cannot just play one number if you wanna hit more greens. So come on over to the whiteboard. Let me show you one more thing. Welcome to my dirty whiteboard here. So I'm going to use the data that I just collected in here in a controlled environment, those 13 shots, 12 shots that I just hit. In a perfect world, I'm going to do this multiple times over different days on the range, on a grass, in a controlled environment like this in the studio to get a really good sample size of what my distance patterns are with all of my clubs overall. But I'm just going to use the numbers that I gathered for this example here and how I would want you to take those numbers and leverage it to hit more greens. So if we have a green, beautiful green, we are down here. It is, let's say, 130 to the front. It is 170 to the back. Fairly large green, if you ask me right there, but just using it as an example. Now, we know that our north-south, north being the longest strike, south being the shortest strike, the shortest for me, for my 7-iron, was 145. Now, these are carry numbers, remember, and my longest was 161. So let's round it and say there's a 15-yard dispersion window between my top end and my bottom end. In a nutshell, when you have an approach shot to the green, you want to hit a club that your bottom end and your top end will fit on the green. Bottom line, you need to hit more greens to score lower. There is a massively direct correlation between those. Players that are better, either ball strikers and their dispersion is relatively tight overall, or players that play with this knowledge will hit more greens. They're better players. Their handicap's lower. They score better overall. Proof is in the many years, the 24 plus years of teaching that I have, that I push this with people and that actually do implement it and play. Now, the key to this, and I stress this with all of my players, stop looking at pins. The pins are what crush us. That yardage is what crushes us. Use your numbers to hit the green. If the pin was down here, for example, and let's say it's, I don't know, take this away. Say it's 150 to the pin here. Oh, all right, well, I know I can hit the green with this club because you saw I averaged 155 in the air. So I should be able to hit it right at the pin. But remember, I also have these. And if I happen to hit these shots, where am I? I'm short of the green. I'm in the bunker. I'm in the water. It would take a well-struck ball to put it here. Now, my longest 161 would end up here. I have so much green I potentially can work with here. Stop looking at those pins. Stop using the laser to get the pin number. It is gonna direct you the wrong way. It is gonna completely encourage you to go with that. And it'll completely get you away from understanding your dispersion windows that you have with your clubs. Remember, your goal is to put the ball on the green. You are not good enough, no offense, to hit the ball to this little pin right here down in front. You're not. Not many players are overall. So stop trying to do that. That's why most players miss greens. Not because they hit the ball bad, not because they couldn't figure out a lie or chose the wrong club. They're trying to be perfect with their one number that they always talk about that they hit that club. You don't hit the golf club's one number. You hit them in a window. Don't forget that. So go out there now, get your numbers, follow this philosophy, I promise you, you are going to hit more greens.